Welcome back to Chillporeal, everybody. I am your host, Brian, the Nerdporeal life form himself, the master and commander of the Nerdporeal Continuum. And well, tonight I decided, let's just say a certain Leo DM'd me and said he wanted to be part of the intro because his name was written all over the stream. So I had to oblige. So I included the bark. So we have Leo's owner here, Justin, the owner of the Legend of Leo YouTube channel. What's going on? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to have you. Well, we're off to a good start here.
Good to have me. Oh, great. Yeah.
It is good to have you.
You want to take over as host? Here, you're host now. There you go.
Well, I'm already pulling double duty then if I'm representing Leo as well. So we'll leave it at one job that I can barely manage. But no, it is good to be back, and I appreciate the little touches in the intro as well. Yeah, cute little bark at the end, and I am hyped after watching those trailers too.
Yeah, man. I'll say this: I did not change the music. The music is still the Elmira theme when she's chasing you in between levels in the Tiny Toons NES game. But the thing is, if she catches you, you get sent back 3 levels behind. You get sent back so it's a fate worse than death.
Oh my!
Yeah. And if you ever seen the Tiny Toons cartoon, all the characters are terrified of her. Like they're like, it's like Bugs Bunny. You know how Bugs Bunny's like not afraid of anybody? The Tiny Toons are kind of like the same. They're like, they're like the heir apparents.
I watched a little bit, and I've played one of the Looney Tunes or Tiny Toons games. Yeah.
But Elmira, the little girl who just wants to catch them and hug them forever and put them in cages and all that, they are terrified of her. That's the one character. Like all the other villains, they're not terrified of. She is. So it's really wacky. But the Sega Genesis did something similar too, but except you when she catches you, you go back even further. You go back like the Sega Genesis was like Super Mario World. Like it was like, several, it was like a big world with several areas. You would have got back like 2-3 worlds behind and had to replay all those levels. I did that, and it kept me from beating the game before I had to return that game to the video store. This is 10-year-old, 11-year-old Nerdporeal Brian. It was a very annoying moment in my gaming history. Also,
yeah, for sure. No, that's not a good trade of a rental, man. Your time is so precious with those games, anyways.
Hey, like I said last time, those systems were my babysitter. So like now kids have like tablets and all that, and they like you have kids as young as 2, 3 years old operating tablets. For me growing up, it was operating the VCR and every system from my parents' point of view was called the Nintendo. So
yes,
if I had a Sega, it was the Nintendo. If I had an Xbox, it was the Nintendo.
Yeah, I went through that a little bit as well. Well, right now my grandmother calls any tablet and any little device a computer.
A computer. So, well, she's right. She's right. So
she is actually. That's a good point.
So yeah, man. I figure we just catch up. You said Happy New Year, and I was just like, what, we haven't done anything. Have you? By the way, congrats on your channel. I know I took a look. You're at 1.3K subscribers. I'm going to say this. This is something that annoyed me just now. I wanted to type. Now I'm subscribed to you. To you. I type in the Legend of Leo, and I do not get you. I get a whole bunch of other channels. There's a channel that has a link in its avatar, and there's actually a few other channels that have like lions, and then there's dogs, but they only have like 10 to 100 subs. You have more subs, yet you are not promoted as much. That's crazy.
I've seen the same thing. Just if I try to pull my own videos up, and it's whatever.
Make it make sense, YouTube. Make it make sense. So
that's okay.
But yeah, I covered E3. Well, not E3. I called E3 the summer a Nintendo Switch Direct that they had.
Yeah.
And me and Angry Canadian. So our mutual friend is Angry Canadian. Angry Canadian is the reason why I know Justin, and Justin knows me. And the two of us covered the E3 thing, and I was too lazy to make a clip of myself reacting to Metroid Prime 4. But it was like, how people like to scream in excitement when they see something. I mean, there's only 2 times that happened in the last few years. I don't scream though, because I'm not a kid. you know. And Mario RPG remake took me by surprise. It was a big one for me. But then Prime 4. Now Prime 4, I knew about. Like when I first saw the trailer back in 2017, I was at work, and I had to hold my mouth shut because I was eating lunch at my desk, and I'm in a room, a big room, you know, in a cube, you know, filled with people. I can't really, you know, scream and react like that, but run outside, and then I just let it rip out. I just started screaming like yes, like that. And I'm just like,
people probably thought you got a promotion or got hired somewhere else.
Yeah, that's probably what it felt. That's how it felt, because honestly, that was something I wanted for years, because, you know, after Prime 3 came out, I mean, you had Other M. Now, I think Other M is a solid game. But when I first played it, it felt like a step down compared to other Metroids, and just in terms of how, in terms of its layout, it was very linear. And the only way to replenish health was if you went into, you know, save room. So there was no, like, you know how you, when you shoot a bad guy, like they'll leave behind orbs or missiles or something like that. You couldn't really do that. And it was more cinematic. It was more cinematic than any other game. I replayed it not too long ago, and I still think it's solid, but I don't think it's nearly as good as the other games. So I really was pining for, and after that game, because that game didn't do so well, it didn't, there was no Metroids for a while. And then Federation Force on 3DS came out. Oh my gosh, I was so angry when I saw that. I was like, what is this? Everybody, like, we're waiting for a Metroid game, and there's this Metroid Soccer and Metroid, like, Prime Chibi with you're playing as Federation soldiers, but you're in Chibi mode. Like, oh my, what is this?
That's a little bit of creative bankruptcy and maybe not enough of a budget.
Probably not. And they probably, well, this, I think, the one thing that was good that came out of that game was the epilogue, which I think sets up Prime 4, which is, you know, you see Silex comes in and steals steals a Metroid from a lab. You know, I used that in my Metroid retrospective. Check that out.
I didn't know you had that. I knew about the Ocarina of Time one. I don't know if I saw the Metroid Prime one then.
It's actually the original. It's called the Metroid, the first mission. So I actually used that clip to kind of cover lore. So I had to be creative in what to put on screen to basically cover, like, the background and the lore behind everything. And so I said, like, you know, space pirates are developing Metroid. So I used that epilogue shot from, you know, from Federation Force to kind of showcase that. I think you might like it. I think you might like it. I cover both the original and Zero Mission, basically.
Sure.
So, yeah. So I use commercials kind of as, like, you know, as breaks in between, you know, scenes or something. So, but I haven't done any videos since. I haven't done any video game videos since then. That's been over a year ago. So last year I haven't made any videos. I haven't made any videos for over a year now. So that's something I got to get back into. So, but yeah, man, how have you been? I know I saw that your channel 1.3K subs, and you've been covering quite a bit. I know you just did a review on Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that? When I played that a long time ago, when I don't know if you remember the Wii, like, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo at the time, the COO of Nintendo, president of Nintendo of America, had just this hard-on against that game, The Last Story, and there was another game called Pandora's Tower. These three Japanese games, these RPGs,
really,
for the Wii. Yeah, and they didn't want to,
like a quote or a comment that he made or something, because I know the story about Nintendo of Europe bringing over Xenoblade, but I didn't know him having a vendetta against some of those Japanese games.
I don't know if I'm kind of being hyperbolic here.
Yeah, who cares?
I think maybe there was money involved or rights involved or something. Okay. But because I heard about those games and they just didn't release them. A buddy of mine at the time was able to find a way to get a ROM of it, and so he was able to play, and he totally recommended it. So I got a copy of the game and was what's funny is when I got my copy of the game, I was playing another game in that same, well, if you could say same series. It's called Xenogears. So it's a PS1 game. A game that is very story dense, even more story dense than Final Fantasy VII. Like this was Square's. This was so ambitious that they wanted to overshoot like Final Fantasy VII in terms of like layered storytelling and things not being what it seems. That's part of the reason why 7 is my favorite Final Fantasy, because of the story mainly.
Yeah.
But Xenogears was going to take that up to another level. The problem was they ran out of budget. So when you get to disc 2, instead of having a coherent story where you're in the open overworld and you're going to a new area and then you're going through this level and then you get to the boss, it ended up being boss to boss to boss. Like it ended up being chapter based, where it was like you get some story and then you fight a boss, then you go to the next part of the story, then it cuts to the next part of the story where you're in another location, like a storyboard, and then you're fighting another boss, and that's kind of how it was. So the story got all messed up because of that, and I forgot what happened. I forgot ultimately what happened, but it's so deep. Like you think Final Fantasy VII Xenogears is even deeper. Like the main character is someone that has lived through multiple eras over thousands of years. It's almost like the Wheel of Time, where there's like souls are reincarnated from one era to another, and the main character in Xenogears was that type of character, and you kind of learn a little bit more as the story goes on, and the story just gets so out there. So but yeah, so I was playing that took forever to beat, and so then I finally got to Xenoblade, and I completely forgot what happens. I just remember you play Shulk. You fight on top of these two robots, like these two massive these two giant mechs.
They're Titans.
Titans.
They call them Titans in the lore, I think.
So you fight these two giant Titans, and I think it starts off like 20 years earlier. You're in a war. You're in a battle against like the machines from the other Titan or something. The humans.
1 year prior to the main event of the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I forget what happens after that. You meet Shulk, and then you kind of build your own party. You start going around talking, and then you go on your adventure.
Yep. It's an interesting story that caught me by surprise. Now, I'll get out of the way immediately that I do think a lot of its elements are overrated, because people will recommend it as like one of the best story-driven games. I just feel like that point is up for debate, especially as you get towards the ending and they try to tie up a lot of loose ends. What do they do, though? Instead of tying up loose ends, is they create a lot more new ones. And but yeah, what basically happens, and one of the reasons why I was gripped on it really early, is it's dropping war on you. It's dropping interesting world building with the Titans, like you mentioned. I mean, that alone, that opening scene, I thought, okay, yeah, there's these two creatures that are kind of battling in the water. But then when it was revealed that all of this world's inhabitants are on the Titans, that just dropped me right in. So I got fully immersed with that. The war is an interesting element, like I said. Love story. It becomes a revenge story fairly early on in the game. And so you're driven to just unroll a little bit more of the storybook. And combat's sufficient. It's got room to improve. The RPG elements are really nice, though. Like overall, like I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I feel like that was a really fair rating for it, just because it's too long. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's too long and who wants to play an 80-hour game or a 60-hour game? It's too long, and it opens up too many opportunities for inconsistencies. Elements of the game where for 5 hours, the combat's not going to be as fun because of the enemies being, let's just say, over-leveled, or inconsistencies in the story where because you get bogged down on side quests, it's like, no, I wanted that next bit. What was going to happen to that character? Why are you throwing me here?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember the enemies being over leveled that you just had to avoid. So yeah, I think it got to a point where I just decided, I'm just going to beat this and just be. That's the problem I have with like bigger games, is that like there's a point where it feels like to me the game overstays its welcome. So I try to I either, like, for instance, like like Skyrim or Fallout or something, or an open world game where it's more open ended, you know, the gameplay is open ended, there's just a point where I'm just going to stop. You know, even if there's probably other quests or there's other guilds to join and stuff. I feel that was kind of the way with Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, I did play X. I don't know if you played any of the other ones. I did buy X for the Wii
Not
U.
yet.
That game kind of that game overstayed its welcome even earlier than Chronicles, because I actually beat Chronicles, like I beat the main story and all that. X, I just wandered around, tried to find as many quests as I could, you know, by talking to NPCs. It's a big area. But I don't fully understand the battle system. Like I couldn't really heal myself. Like I wasn't in control of my healing. And so I kept dying, and they got to a point where I was like, okay, this is just getting
Tedious.
tedious and all that. So so we got Nerdy Neo here. He's asking what the best version of Metroid 2 is. Have you even played Metroid?
I need
2?
you to answer that one. So I've played the Prime trilogy. I've played Dread, Pinball, and one of the GBA titles.
Fusion or Zero Mission?
Good question.
Zero Mission is the remake of the first Metroid.
Then no, I don't think I played that. I think I played Fusion then. Yeah, Fusion.
Fusion's the one with the Samus, the doppelganger Samus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I played Samus Returns. Now AC doesn't agree with me on this, but AC really likes the original Game Boy version. I can't stand the original Game Boy version because Samus takes up like this much of this tiny little screen, so you can barely see what's going on in front of you.
Yeah.
So I only played like maybe like a half an hour of it, and I stopped. Samus Returns I did beat. It's okay, but AM2R by Dr. M64, that's where it's at. You want to play something awesome with some great remix soundtracks from Super Metroid, and of course the original, Return of Samus. You gotta play AM2R. It's so good. And they basically took the Zero Mission engine and just made Metroid 2 out of it, basically. And they added some additional areas, and I like it. I like it quite a bit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he took some inspiration from like Axiom Verge maybe as well. So have you ever played that one? That's one of the few Switch independent games that I actually bought. It's extremely Metroid inspired. So
okay, interesting stuff.
So I gotta ask you. I nearly forgot to talk about the main topic of this stream. And what do you think of the Switch 2?
Well, I'm always a sucker for Nintendo's trailers, and one of the reasons why. Don't you agree that their sound design is incredible?
Yes.
So all the little clicks and slides and very whimsical things with like xylophones, little violins that kind of squeak. Love that. Watching the trailer took me back to playing on the Wii, the DS, and the 3DS, because I feel like those consoles in particular, anytime you're going through the menus, the home menus, the settings, if you can recall any of the beeps and boops that they make, I just kind of loved that era of the consoles, and they felt Nintendo. So that trailer really reminded me of that.
You know how iconic the Wii's, like the music from the Wii is? Like you hear it in videos all the time now. Like do 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 do. I think isn't that from the Wii Sports? Network. Is that from Wii Sports, or is that from the Wii menu?
I don't know which one's which, but I can like say a lot of the titles and the little apps that the things are drawn from. Everybody Votes was another one.
So you so like a lot of the stuff that kids grew up on with the Wii, I mean, they're all adults now. So we're getting old, Justin. We're getting old.
That's okay. I'll try my best over here. Try to keep up.
So but yeah, Switch 2. I'm curious if you think. And this is something I thought. Well, I was actually kind of annoyed with the name. I was hoping it would be called the Super Nintendo Switch, and I said this on X, and I got a whole bunch of flack for that. I was like, "Why would you?" They're like, "No, why? That sounds stupid." I'm like, "No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It worked back. It worked back in the day. You know.
Well,
So
maybe just flipping two of the names, two of the words, that it's the Nintendo Super Switch.
yeah, that too. Yeah, the Super Switch. You know, that could work. So I'm the Switch 2 makes me think that now you maybe you'll disagree with this. I think that maybe they are done with gimmicks. Do you think they're done? Nintendo's done with gimmicks, you know, like, you know, we had the tablet, we had the accelerometer, the motion control.
Yeah.
The Switch was obviously a hybrid. It seems like the hybrid is here to stay.
I think they're done making them mandatory in what should be like their prime first party lineup. So, you know, I didn't like Odyssey. I thought I had a lot of great ideas, but all I wanted to do was kick back, lie down, hold my Pro controller, and be able to play the game fully. And then what did I learn? And why did it not feel like it was as engaging as it should have been? Oh, I couldn't actually perform a jump because I wasn't using the Joy-Cons. So there was one movement ability reserved for Joy-Cons. I think they're done with stuff like that. Everyone right now is speculating. Maybe it's beyond speculating. Maybe it's proven that you're going to be able to use the mouse control.
You didn't like Odyssey? You didn't like Odyssey?
I did and I didn't. I didn't like that happened.
I love that. I love that game. I love that game.
Hey, I can point out all the good and all the bad. Well, little Odyssey detour. Disappointing that so many of the Cappy abilities felt really similar until Bowser's final stage at the end, when there was like a flying enemy or something truly different. It felt like everything was just a jump variation up until that point. The frog, the Goomba was a stack variation. It's like everything just kind of had to do with little height changes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that. I liked the fact what I liked. I really did like that mechanic. I like that you could, you know, you could take over a character or take over an enemy and take over their abilities and be able to, you know, find different ways to access secrets and all that. I like the fact that, like, it made me, this game felt like an old school game where I felt incentivized to look like under every rock. Like I would keep turning the camera. Like I would go right by like an edge of a cliff to see if there's like a secret platform down there, you know, like so like the one thing I loved about that game, this is something I like about video games in general. What I like finding secrets. I guess that goes all the way back to Super Mario World with the
hidden,
because there was
secret exits. That's what I want to say.
There were secret exits and
switch rooms.
Yeah, like there were like it's like original Zelda. Like original Zelda, there hasn't been a bush that I didn't try to burn. There hasn't been a wall that I haven't tried to bomb. That's what makes the original Zelda so unique compared to even all the other 2D games, because all the later 2D games, you know, you don't bomb every wall because now there's like, you know, there's a crack, and then so there's something that shows that, you know, and then they kind of did away with the burning trees and all that until I think Breath of the Wild, I think.
Well, Ocarina of Time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a lot of the hidden grottos were truly hidden. There may have been like a mask that if you walked near one, it may have pinged the rumble pack if you had in your controller. I could be speaking completely out of my mind.
I did not have a rumble pack because you had to buy that. You had to buy that separately for N64. But then when I played, I don't know if you did you ever own the GameCube
Master Quest,
Ocarina of Time, and Master Quest? That was the first time I ever experienced in that game, that version, the rumble pack, because it was built into the GameCube.
Built in.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And so then I was able to start finding stuff, but a lot of the times, like if there would be like, you know, there would be like a little mark on there would be some weird suspect like marking on like the grass or something like that, and I put a bomb there, and well, dude, there's this hole and you could just jump in, and there's a grotto there. So
interesting, didn't know that. Okay.
You know what's funny is I always loved and I do this at work sometimes. I like the inside the Deku tree / grotto theme. It's just so it's so ambient. It's so like like I said this in my video, you feel like you're in a tree, and it's just
Yeah.
like like there's just such wonder, and of course there's bad guys at the same time, and
Well, it's pretty
yeah.
chillporeal, isn't it?
Um,
Never
yeah,
mind.
that hurts. The
It's
cringe,
not meant to
the
be like a
cringe.
really good joke.
I
It's
know.
just
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm
it's
kidding.
fact. It's pretty chill track.
It's pretty chill. Yeah.
I'm glad
Chillporeal.
that you're bringing up the Deku tree and you're pointing out things that not many people would. I have a fun video series on the channel now, 15 incredible features. And so I've done 15 incredible environments, 15 incredible atmospheres in video games. And I included Ocarina of Time for atmosphere. And I referenced the Deku tree as the earliest example where you're completely immersed in, especially for the time, what
Yeah.
would really be like a magical hollowed out tree with the vines and the textures and even the spider webs
Yeah,
interacting with the
and
length
the
of the tree.
sounds, the sounds of the creatures inside that you're hearing, whether it be the ruffling of,
Yeah.
the ruffling of, spider webs or something, or the
Yeah.
rustling of the bushes because the Deku bros are,
Leaves. Yeah.
spinning nuts at you. And I'll say this, I was actually stuck there for an hour. That first room, I was trying to hack the Deku scrub dude, but he kept
Yes.
going into the
And
ground.
not
And
realizing you deflect.
yeah, this was, and I didn't so that's one of my key issues sometimes is reason why I tell myself that I've been telling myself this for years. The reason why you can't figure stuff out is because you don't know, or you don't try to learn the potential of what you can do and
Yes.
everything, and you have to kind of figure that out. So
Yeah.
and so I started using the shield, and I was this is how you do it. Okay, there you go. All right, so I was able to continue. But yeah, playing a 3D Zelda, I was like, how is this? Is this going to be any different? Is this going to be totally different from like the earlier games, from like Link to the Past and the original game? And it felt right at home. It felt right at home with all the other games. You're in rooms. The rooms are bigger though and higher,
Yeah.
but you have doors and keys and treasure chests and enemies that are trying to slay you and all that. So I felt very at home with those games. So, and I mean I'm not gonna beat a dead horse and tell you how I feel about the current Zeldas, the Breath of the
Wow.
Wild,
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, which I still haven't finished because it felt like Breath of the Wild 2.0, and I got a lot of crap for that from Angry Canadian because he played and beat it. So I definitely will have to revisit. I would definitely have to revisit that at some point because
Yeah.
I put 40 hours into it and I barely scratched the surface. So it wasn't really because I was disappointed in the game. Actually, I actually played one of the dungeons. I hopped all the way to the Sky Temple, and
Yes.
it was a really interesting trek. Gliding and jumping on platforms just to get up there. I thought that was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually almost felt like a dungeon. It was very like it was very interesting boss fight where I'm using the glider, and I'm just like
Yep.
just landing on this flying boss or something like that. So but then after that, like it just felt like the game is huge. The game is huge.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like playing it anymore. And it wasn't just that; it was a whole bunch of other games. I just stopped playing games for a while after
A little
that.
bit of
So
burnout. Fair enough.
yeah, getting older. I mean, I'm behind on everything. I haven't beat Super Mario Wonder, or Echoes of Wisdom yet. Have you played any of those?
I've got both of them waiting for sometime this year, hopefully. Similar
Okay.
as you, it's just like there's so much on the plate right now.
Yeah. Same here. I used to buy games like anything. If there was a Mario, if there was a Zelda or a Mario or a Metroid or a Donkey Kong, I would buy them right away. Now I mean Metroid I will buy right away because Prime 4 is going to be.
So that means you're buying a Switch too. Or are we assuming that it might come out on Switch so you could wait a little while and see what happens?
You know what's funny is I got the Breath of the Wild. I played that for the Wii U.
Okay.
I did not buy the Switch right away. I
Yep.
got the Switch. I got this. I had my brother bought me the Switch for Christmas, and
Nice.
to be traditional, I always get a Nintendo system for Christmas with a Mario game. So he got me Odyssey with that.
Oh,
And yeah,
nice.
so playing. So I almost felt like a kid again.
Well,
Playing
no
Odyssey.
wonder you love Odyssey, not just because like, oh, it's not a good game, but you like it for nostalgic purposes. Yeah, it could be a good game, but when you're brought back to a Christmas memory like that,
Yeah.
of course, it's a special moment, and that's why I was more in love with the Zelda games, because those are what I could relate to around Christmas time, especially.
Well, I did get Ocarina and Majora's Mask and Wind Waker
Whew.
for Christmas. So yeah. So
Yeah.
so Zelda was also a big part of my Zelda was always a big part of Christmas. It was usually the following Christmas after the Mario game came out, because the Mario games always came out first on the
Yeah.
console. And I always played those first on the console, and then I played the Zelda on the console. So on my channel, I did a Mario 64 video first, and then I did the Ocarina of Time one. So
To replicate that. That's
yeah,
funny. That's
and
really good.
I do actually do bring it up. So I actually do bring it up. So there's a lot, like, yeah, my channel is basically it's not, I'm not a video game channel. I cover like I cover movies. I have actually
Yep.
done book club because I'm reading the Wheel of Time right now. And I've covered shows, or I've done TV show recommendations. I'm a big Star
Mhm.
Trek guy, obviously from the intro. So so yes, I am not a video game channel, but I do like to talk video games. It seems like video games
Yep.
are my most like people. I mean,
Popular.
video games is like the biggest industry right now. It's bigger than
Yeah.
TV, movies, and sports,
Yeah.
all that stuff combined. So I'm just really curious about the future. I mean, Switch 2 is coming out. Do you think PlayStation is going to keep making systems, or I haven't even been keeping up with Xbox or Microsoft,
Mhm.
because I know Microsoft doesn't seem like they're interested in making physical consoles anymore. It's all cloud now with them or something, isn't it?
And I think that's the direction they should probably go. I don't see a point really in most people having Well, I can't say that. You know, the Xbox gamer has always been the type of chill out
PC.
on the couch or sofa.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a PC. I could play Xbox games on here. You know, this is a
That's the thing.
Microsoft,
But
desktop.
as soon as I was about to say, like, they could just run it all through PC, I thought, well, man, my friends still play Game Pass on Xbox. Yeah, there are people out there who will buy a console just to rent games, as ridiculous as that is.
Yeah. So I got a
But
question.
uh,
Speaking of, do you buy physical or do you buy digital, or do you do
I
both?
have
Or
a Switch and a PC. I try to only stock my Switch library with physical exclusives, and pretty much everything else goes on my digital. And I realize I'm only leasing the games, or I only have a license to own the games, but it's just kind of like making a deal with the devil. It's like, okay, I'll own my Switch games in perpetuity, and whatever
yeah.
happens with my my digital library is up to chance, I guess.
Have you ever had games disappear on you? Like
No.
like like let's say like Wii U, for instance, because I know they shut down the eShop on the Wii U for a while ago now. Do those games disappear, or is it basically once you delete them, then you can't download them again?
You can download them again if you delete them. Your console has like the memory or some kind of flag enabled. I don't know. Whoever is knowledgeable with programming can explain it, but the
Mhm.
console knows that you did own the game, or your
Okay.
account maybe. Yeah. So there's no issue with that. Steam sometimes though, not that like PC, oh, grass is always greener on PC, or you better download Steam, get all your games through there. There have been times where I've wanted to play a game that was recommended. I go take a look. Oh, it was pulled from Steam. If you happen to download it or own it prior to that happening, you can still always reinstall it. If not, you're out of luck.
Huh.
So
Really?
it falls victim to a lot of the same pitfalls that these Switch consoles have, where it's like once the eShop is gone, once access is gone, that's it. You either played it previously or you never will.
I got a question. Are you I'm looking at my since we're talking about Steam now.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at my Steam library. Do you have a big library? Like I have a friend, his Dread Roberts. He told me he has like 300 games on his Steam account. I'm like,
300 is unfortunately nothing. I don't want to. I'm just looking for where it would display it exactly, the full number. I'm pretty sure I'm over 500 here. I don't see a number right away, but
for a second I thought you were going to say you're over 9,000. You know, to reference a certain to reference a certain anime show.
Yeah.
I got one game I do want to play that I have on here. You ever play Dave the Diver?
I see the number now, and it's disgustingly high.
Disgusting.
I have 992 games.
And how many of them did you play?
Let's just say like a quarter. But I can explain why I might have one of the cheapest Steam collections out there. I'm a bargain hunter, and I use a lot of like wish list websites tracking deals that are online, and the custom parameter that I slap on every wish list item is available on Steam and 70% off or more. And even at 70% off, if it's a game that's still like above $15 or so, I just hold off. I'm not going to get around to playing it at some point, so I don't need to have it in my library. I can wait until maybe there's like an 80% sale or something. So yeah, my average game price on Steam is probably below $10, which is still an expensive account, but it's manageable.
Yeah, I do look for bargains myself, and sometimes I have to tell myself, no,
yeah,
don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't have that voice in the back of your head, you're going to balloon to an astronomical number.
I mean, ever since I graduated college, and I had a job in this thing called money. I started buying more games than I should, and I've had a what do you call it? I've had a I can't think of the word. Where you have like a backlog. I have a backlog. I've had a backlog for 14 years now.
Yeah.
To the point where I got rid of the games. Like half the games that I bought, I just simply returned to GameStop. So I ended up taking a loss. Well, actually, no. Did I? Yeah, I did take a loss. I bought those games on sale too. They were like $30. These were PS3 games and all that. Like I've not played Resonance of Fate, which I had on my shelf for the longest time. I still have Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2. I played a little bit of 13 and I stopped. So I just haven't, and I haven't gotten rid of those yet. What else do I got? It doesn't matter. I don't want to go back there now. So I still got some Wii games. So
this
Prime Trilogy.
Nerdy Neo writes, being very frugal and patient, rarely buying games till they're more than 50% off. And so for $25, you could get 3 or 4 games. And that's the kind of mentality. You want to just bundle things together. Or if you're willing to shell out a little bit more, you better have it in your mind or on your schedule that you're going to start playing that game virtually right away. You know, like you're buying a game that's, let's just say $30 plus, you better sit down and play it that weekend. These games don't go anywhere. And I think gamers as a whole have this insane fear of missing out problem. And we were talking a little bit off air about trends and things of that nature. It's trends, it's sales, it's all of these other things that just influence you as a consumer. So yeah, consumerism is a vile thing in the gaming industry, and that's why gaming is one of the most profitable industries right now.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that I think gaming. I mean, maybe it's because of me playing Tears of the Kingdom, and all these open world games are becoming a thing, and they take like hundreds of hours to beat now if you want to complete them. It seems like they really, and then games are so saturated. Like there's like every week there's shovelware coming out. There's like every week there's like a couple of AAA titles releasing. So even Nintendo's been releasing stuff more often to the point where obviously, I mean, I'm getting older. Time is going by a lot quicker for me. So before I know, oh my gosh, this game's already out. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I didn't even beat this other game yet. I didn't even beat the game that I just bought before. So
Yeah.
where was I going with this? Yeah, I'm worried. I'm just worried that people are going to be too bogged down into gaming instead of going out there enjoying life. So I've been going for walks more. I've been traveling a lot more myself. I'm actually I already revealed this last time, but our mutual friend Angry Canadian, well, in a month and a half I'm going to meet him. I'm going to Japan. I'm going to meet him in person.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
So we're going to find out if he's not actually, you know, a gamer girl, a fake gamer girl. So, but that's the joke around here. So, but yeah, that's the one thing and then I saw. Have you ever seen the movie They Live?
No.
It's an old 80s John Carpenter movie. So you have Roddy Piper is the main character. He puts on the sunglass. He puts on these specialty sunglasses, and like half the people are like aliens or like or like reptile people or something like that.
Yeah.
And he sees every sign he looks at. Instead of seeing the sign, he sees the message, the subliminal message under that. And one of the most popular ones is consume. Like just so he sees he sees an advertisement, but when he puts on the sunglasses, he just sees a blank thing that just says in big bold letters consume. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now about gaming. But that's just I think that's just me getting old.
No, it's not just you, and it's not like just a time of your life. Look, the buy message has been around in full force at least since the 60s. And even prior to then, of course, you still had things like advertising, and you still had products and merchants and sales, but the constant bombardment, the fact that you have to subscribe to this way of life in order to live life to its fullest, that stuff, I feel this could take on a million directions, this conversation. I'll just say it's been going on for a long time.
You brought up subscribing.
Yeah,
that's one thing that's been taken over. Like, you know, you can't really buy software anymore. Now companies want you to subscribe monthly. Like, for instance, my editing, I use Adobe, which may change in the future because it's getting expensive.
But well, you can't cancel your Adobe without paying a cancellation fee now.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Oh crap!
I don't know if it's in effect for everybody, but I know people who got hit, and it's like, really? Cancellation fee? Are you, after being a lifelong customer, a long time customer?
Yeah,
just one more way they give you the finger as you walk out the door.
Yeah, or I tried to unsubscribe from something, and they kept asking me, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you like the next couple months free. I'm like, no.
Oh yeah,
like no. And then half the time when you sign up for something, there are times where I stupidly like don't realize that I signed up for a subscription, and so like the next week I had to pay like $100 for something. So it's like, remember I had that issue I told you about, that I had that issue with my X account and the scammer. Well, I tried to talk to an online lawyer, and I didn't realize it, but it was a subscription. So not only did I pay a fee, well, hey, it's lawyers, you know. That's why you don't want to deal with lawyers, because they're like, the online lawyer was cheap compared to if you're dealing with a real lawyer and all that. So, but I had to pay money, and then I had to pay a subscription. I was like, holy crap! I was subscribed. I unsubscribed, so I have a month. I still have a couple weeks of lawyer subscription now. But what I'm trying to get at here is, do you think, I'm starting to think this with the way things are going, I'm thinking you have to subscribe for video games. They don't want you to own it. Like, ownership is going to go away, and they want you to subscribe to, maybe Nintendo wants you to subscribe or something. And for their AAA stuff, you got to pay a premium, maybe a premium subscription monthly.
I'll give gamers this. They are some of the more resilient consumers, for better or for worse. That's where you get into a lot of problems with like nostalgia baiting. They want the products that they've been playing since they were kids. No, don't change that, please. Just give me the same thing for the 20th iteration. But at the same time, the fact that games have held on to physical marketplace, right? We don't want an all digital future. And I can't say the same thing for moviegoers and for fans of other media. It's like gamers and readers, right? That's about
Yeah.
it for people who are holding on to physical. So once you start threatening them with, again, more stuff that just leans into digital control and ownership being pried from your hands, once you lean into these subscriber services, uh, I think there's tons of people, especially if you've crossed like that 30-year-old age range, we're gonna pull out. We're done. We have our backlogs. We have our collections of physical games. You're dead to me now. I'm prepared to do that anyways. I'm never gonna join a subscriber future.
Same here. I own too much as it is, and my time is very limited and very precious to me. So I could easily live without it. Well, except for maybe Prime 4, but that's neither here nor there.
Cross that bridge when you get there.
Oh man, like watching that Prime 4 trailer, or me playing that Prime 4 trailer, it just took me back to the Halo, to the early GameCube and Wii days, especially Halo and Metroid Prime, the early Prime trilogy, and all the Halo trilogy, the Metroid Prime
felt
trilogy.
a ton like Prime 1. I thought seeing the movement, they even got the perfect little bounce that Samus does as she does a sidestep. It looked like the exact same screen movement, at least.
Yeah, that's true. I thought with like all I thought with like seeing like the stuff going on in the background made me think of Metroid Prime 3 a little bit too. So do you think they're gonna go back to like, do you think it's gonna go back to the Prime 1 basic where you're gonna be on a single planet, you're gonna be alone, you're not gonna be alone. I'm sure I don't know if you're gonna be, I'm curious if you do you think Silex is gonna pursue you, or you're gonna pursue Silex?
I think they're going to have you pursued a la Dread.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to, I mean, not necessarily like, hey, you can't do anything except for escape, but I think they probably love the tension that they were able to add to the Dread game just with those little sections alone. And they'll probably find a way to make that work in the 3D space, 3D environment.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I haven't revisited Dread. Dread was another reaction that I had, and I saw the Metroid 5 trailer, and that the fact that they actually called it Dread. It's like Dread was like its like rumored name. It was never confirmed by Nintendo, and then we find out that it was actually a real thing, that like the leak was real, but Yoshio Sakamoto just, and I think we talked about this last time. Like the technology just wasn't there for the ME machines that pursue you and all that. So like it can crawl up the walls and all that. So yeah, I'll have to. That game. The thing that disappointed me. It disappointed me that there was no Metroids in that game. So, do you think? Now, Mercury Steam worked on that in Samus Returns, so I don't know if Mercury Steam is now Nintendo's Metroid 2D Metroid studio now. Like, I don't know. Like, do you think the Metroid 6 is in the works? I'm curious. No.
Wait. So you already know that a Metroid Prime 5 is in the works, and so that's why
Metroid 6. No, Metroid 6. The sequel to Dread.
Oh, why not? I think you're going to see a lot of let's just call them like duo packs, basically, where they create an engine for a game and they just want to get their money's worth and they reuse it. Because I'm thinking of Link's Awakening remake. What other the game with Zelda is called? Echoes of Wisdom. Why not? Like, it's economical. Well, you'd be a fool if you're running a department or you're running a game development team and you're not just using the same good engine and the nice graphics and assets for a couple of titles, right? So yeah, I'm just going to lean towards probability and say, yeah, sure.
I want now. I know you don't like them, or you don't care for them. I wouldn't say you don't like them. You don't care for Donkey Kong,
Oh, yeah. I do like Donkey Kong.
He hates Donkey Kong.
Games are just disappointing.
He hates Tropical Freeze. He hates it. No, I'm kidding. I'm curious. Like, I'm curious if something like that's in the works, because they remade They remade Tropical Freeze.
There's two series I don't understand their directions with, and there could be more, but I'll say the two main series are Star Fox and Donkey Kong, and I don't think anyone has a good grasp of what Nintendo could be up to with those two. Because I think if you ask most people, they just say they dropped the ball in the Switch era. They didn't give us good Donkey Kong or Star Fox.
Did you play Star Fox Zero for the Wii U?
No, I didn't own a Wii U either.
You didn't own a Wii U? Oh man, no. Star Fox for the Wii U, Star Fox Zero is what was called. You had to actually look. You actually had to look at your Wii U pad, and you had to look at the screen. So you had to actually look at two screens. My brother played it, and he beat it. Yeah. I hated it. I couldn't even get through it. I couldn't even get through it. I got rid of it. I watched my brother play it. It was basically Star Fox 64 for the Wii U, but with two screens instead. It was this. It looked exactly the same. Except nicer, because it's HD and all that. I mean, Andros looks exactly the same. The Cornell, was it the Corneria looks exactly the same. So
the Lilac cluster.
Yeah,
I love the lore. Like, what a wasted potential. 9 years or 8 years, and you're not giving us that.
With Nintendo, now making movies, Star Fox could be a solid Top Gun or Star Wars / Top Gun like movie. Dogfight.
And it should piggyback off of the Sonic popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
I think people understand, like there's an audience member who likes those types of characters. So they would watch both movies.
The Sonic movies, the reason why I honestly do not care for the Sonic movies. I mean, I don't hate them.
Nor do I. I'm not going to bother.
If you ask me, I mean, I grew up on Sonic. I love Sonic. I grew up on what got me interested in playing the Sonic games was watching the old Sonic Saturday AM cartoon from 1993, which is a great series. There were two Sonic shows back then that came out at the same time. What's funny is the same voice actor, guy that played Urkel in Family Matters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there were two Sonic shows. There's the goofy, more cartoony one, where Robotnik is Robotnik, and he's the buffoon. He's a buffoon. Whereas in the Sad AM cartoon, he is actually a terrifying villain who will, like Sonic and his friends are hiding in the woods, being pursued by Robotnik and his nephew, because he wants to basically take the animals away and basically, like in Star Trek, like the Borg in Star Trek, assimilate them or roboticize them. So they're basically freedom fighters fighting a mechanical empire.
And what I just thought there was, I like that slightly darker, more mature relationship between the antagonists and the protagonists. It's like Shredder and the Turtles.
Yeah,
I just feel like that's a better relationship, a more gripping set of characters. Yeah, so that's nice.
What's funny is that reminds me, I have he's brought up the Ninja Turtles. Another thing I grew up on.
Yeah,
I was 5 years old when I saw the first movie in theaters, the first one.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I think I was too young to see it because it was pretty, for a 5-year-old, that movie was pretty intense.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
Yes, it was. So
what? Things that every little boy liked back then. The fictional series, Turtles, Ghostbusters, and Transformers.
Yeah.
Like those are pretty close to a bit of a holy trinity for a little boy.
Ghostbusters, I actually saw the real Ghostbusters growing up before I saw the films. Okay. And what's funny is when we went to Universal Studios one year, I think this was early 92. And they had the movies on VHS, and I wanted both of them. My parents were like, "Oh no, we can only buy one," and my dad was like, "Oh, we already own the first Ghostbusters." I'm like, "No, we don't." He's like, "Yeah, we do." And so we got part 2. We got Ghostbusters Part 2 instead. So Ghostbusters Part 2 is more nostalgic for me than even the first Ghostbusters, because I only seen the first Ghostbusters as a kid. I only saw it like once it was on TV. We actually did not own the Ghostbusters for the first Ghostbusters movie. My dad was wrong. He thought because back then my dad liked to buy tapes, but he also liked to record movies because we had back then we had HBO, so he recorded a lot of movies
onto the VHS.
Yeah, I mean,
We lost a baptism video like that.
Really? You
Yeah, like
recorded
my
over
sister's
baptism? Oh
baptism got
no!
recorded over.
Oh no! Did you like did you have one of those little like tapes? One of those little tapes you put in the camcorder? And
Oh, I'm too young, or I would have been too young to remember like the different video cameras that we would have had.
yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, we
yeah.
had the if you ever seen Back to the Future, we actually had that big bulky JVC camcorder that Marty McFly has.
Yeah.
And it has like a VH, it has a little tape. I forget what they call it. It's like this big. And
Okay.
in order to watch it on VCR, you have to put it in another cassette. So you place that in another tape cassette and then you put it into the
Yeah.
VCR and watch it. So
Man, primitive technology, huh? Amazing at the time, like magical.
yeah.
But
And I still, to this day, VHSC is the DJ Ronnie
VHS-C.
G.
Okay.
I still have not. I need to figure out a way to convert all those VHSCs that we have to, well, digital. I'm sure it's really easy now with all the technology. But
Yeah.
I haven't tried yet. So I got to do it before the tape wears off and it gets lost to time. So, but yeah, they had like all that stuff. Ghostbusters. I was a DuckTales. I grew up on DuckTales,
Yes.
so I grew up on Donald Duck, and then my parents bought me the DuckTales tapes. I got the Mario tapes, the old Mario cartoon tapes. I know you said you didn't watch those,
That's
but
right.
like I used to when I was a kid, after I got the Nintendo and the Nintendo, all those games became my babysitter. I was obsessed with Mario and the Zelda cartoons. Like
Yeah.
I'd be home by like 1 o'clock, and then it would be on at 2 p.m. And the Zelda cartoon was always on Fridays because it was a limited series, only 13 episodes compared to like the Mario Super Show's 60 episodes. I don't know if you know this, but they played the Super Mario Super Show's opening theme in the Mario movie, the Plumber's Rap. The plumbers today, the dun 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 dun
I
dun
may have
dun
read
dun.
that at the
The tick
time,
is in
but
trouble.
not
You get callers on the double. I literally shed some tears when I heard that. I
yeah.
was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
No, that movie, like it had some dedicated people working on it who lovingly added as many details as they could.
Yeah, and
Not an amazing movie, but it was an amazing tribute.
I thought it was an amazing tribute as well. I felt it was for kids of all ages, or
Yes.
people not kids. Sorry,
Fans of all ages.
fans of all ages. So you could
Yeah.
you could be like as young as 5 years old. I went with my buddy. He took his oldest son. That was the first time he ever been to a movie to
Wow.
see it. So
Nice.
I got to see it with him. But it was for people my age and probably even people who were kids. I was baby in '85 when Super Mario Brothers came out. But so people like in their 50s were probably enjoying it too because they were kids in the 80s. So like I felt like it was almost for every age, and all the old boomers were like in their 70s and 80s now. They were probably watching enjoying it as their kids were growing up. So my parents used to play. My parents used I said this in the last stream. My parents did play a little bit of Nintendo when they first bought it, but then life happens and they're like, yeah, we're not
They
interested.
played Nintendo, but then they didn't keep on playing the future Nintendos.
Nope. That was the thing that's interesting. Another thing that's interesting about like how the times have changed quite a bit since then. So now I feel like, and I've noticed this with my friends and their kids. I'm not married. I don't have kids, but I think all my other friends are married and they have kids. And what's funny is I'm able to bond, and their parents are able to bond with their kids because we all grew up on video games. It's different, with at least with my parents, my parents and the baby boomers who did not grow up on it. They did not grow up on video games. So it's interesting seeing that there's more of a commonality in that regard, especially with that medium, with the younger generation. So I've had some Gen Zers on this on Chillporeal. I've had some Gen Zers, and we're just talking like it was just we're still interested. What's funny is they still bring out nostalgic stuff, and younger people are playing games that I grew up on. So it's weird how we can still connect. It's weird how I feel like how I can even connect with someone younger. It's crazy. Like back then, back when I was a kid, like we would not even dare to think about connecting with our parents watching old stuff. It was so uncool in the 90s and early 2000s to watch stuff that came out before you were born, because it was lame.
I'm trying to think of, maybe I watched the movie and maybe my parents read the book, or I watched the remake and maybe they watched the original. I'm trying to think of any movies that kind of overlap like that with my parents with me.
Well, I remember telling you about Fester's Quest, owning that on Nintendo.
Yeah.
My parents bought that for me because the new Addams Family, well, it's not new. It's over 35. It's almost 35 years old now. But the Addams Family movie came out in 91, and my parents grew up on the original Addams Family show from the 60s. And I remember watching it with them in the theaters, and they hated the movie because the movie was so dark. Like the movie had so many dark elements. It wasn't like, your innocent 60s, it wasn't like your innocent 60s show where it was like, appropriate, like talking about people being buried alive and stuff and that. And, are they dead? Doesn't matter. Like my parents were offended by that. So, but yeah, the Fester, that's the reason why my dad bought me Fester's Quest, was because he saw the Uncle Fester, remembered the character when he was a kid. And it's like, okay, here, I'm going to buy this for my son. He's going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I played it. I tried to enjoy it. I attempted it a billion times, and I just couldn't beat it. Like, it's Sunsoft's not a great company. I mean, they did Blaster Master, so I'll give them credit. But Fester's Quest was like a afterthought, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Can't comment except for what I've seen on the Angry Video Game Nerd. That was a pretty funny episode.
He's like, who the F puts in a downgrade? Like, because you have a gun, you have two weapons. You have a gun. Uncle Fester has a gun, and he has a whip. You get the whip a little bit later, but you start off with the gun. And when you shoot bad guys and they drop stuff, like typical game, collect stuff. Well, when you collect something when you collect a little collectible called gun, it's just the word gun, but in blue, it upgrades your gun. Basically, you go from like a green pellet to it's
like you're playing a shooter.
to a cannonball to a spike.
Yeah.
The thing is, you keep grinding. I keep shooting bad guys to try to get to the highest upgrade possible.
Yeah.
But along the way, there is a red gun drop that downgrades you. So you have to stay on your freaking toes. And the Angry Video Game Nerd basically reacted like, who the F thought that was a good idea? Well, you got to remember, NES, during the NES days, because of the video rentals and how, like how they were losing, they're always the developers and Nintendo were always complaining about losing money because people were renting instead of buying stuff. So the developers would troll players. Like Ninja Gaiden, perfect example. If you didn't beat the boss right away and you still had health or you still had lives, you weren't quite game over. You didn't lose a power up. You were sent back 3 levels if you died once against the boss.
Isn't there one where you lose your like your munitions basically for that particular spell? You lose your ammo for it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just remember that the final boss or the final boss is 3 parts. And if you die once, you are sent back 3 levels. You're sent 3 levels back. And this is not easy.
You're talking about a game at the start of this where you go back 3 levels with Tiny Toons.
Yeah.
There's a couple of sickos out there making games, man.
Yeah, because they were getting back at us consumers for renting games. At least that's what I think. So,
well, whose fault is it that the arcades basically transitioned into video game rentals? So, and they introduced paying for play, and the rental stores continued it. It's not the consumer's fault.
No.
We didn't decide that we wanted to go from arcades to rental stores. So there you go.
Yeah, I grew up going to the mall. There was a place called the Land's Castle, and that was basically the arcade that I every time we passed there, my parents always tried to avoid passing there because they know I would
see it,
beg them.
walking.
I would beg them to can we go? Can we go? Can I have $1 for 4 tokens? A dollar back then was so much money. 4 tokens was like a fortune for me. And I would play all these different games, and there was what's funny was I went to this one arcade in south suburbs of Chicago, and games that I've not seen in over 30 years were at this arcade, basically. So arcade, I don't know if you've been to, I don't know how long it's been since you've been to an arcade. Arcades are now like, like the arcade I went to, all you got to do is pay like an admission fee and you could just play whatever you want.
Nice.
You just play whatever you want. You don't need tokens or anything.
Way like that. Healthier business model, and in a dying subgenre of gaming, it's like the only way that you can invite people in, really.
Yeah, and what's funny is people of all ages. There are old farts, older than me, and then full gray beards and overweight, and then there were kids. There were like teenagers hanging out there at the arcades too. So with their girlfriends and buddies and bros and all that. So it's funny, like how like I said earlier, like generations are just we have more in common. So I feel I feel that's a good thing, but at the same time, I'm just worried that we're too consumed in consuming, basically, and that's something I'm trying to kind of steer away from. Break out of. So like the Nerdporeal, like when I started this Nerdporeal channel, I spent all my time making videos and trying to remember the fond memories of playing video games instead of actually playing the video games myself. So like the footage I used for Ocarina and Link to the Past, I just downloaded walkthroughs from YouTube, basically, from different channels. And besides, I know a lot of people record their own stuff. I still don't quite know how to do that. I haven't tried to learn that yet, but I just wanted to spend more time editing and just trying to find the clips that I need, see if I can find it. Sometimes the walkthrough didn't have exactly what I needed or how I played a certain game, so I would have to download even more videos. So I'd have to find a particular video and hopefully, see if I can find it and then download it and then put it into the thing. So I think it takes a lot of time. I don't know.
I'll tell you,
that's the case with you.
Games just to record them or making sure that you're ready to record when you start playing a game from scratch, it adds so much time. And also it like spoils a little bit of the moment you have with a new game too. It's like, let me make sure I have my recording software up. Okay, configure my settings. Everything looks good. Yeah, now I'm going to dive into a new game while I see like a projection of it on my second monitor. It's different. It's just one of the drawbacks of making videos, if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, I've stopped. I mean, I wouldn't say I've totally stopped streaming video games, but I haven't. I've actually. What's funny is I have my PS5 here on my desk. Right, I don't actually play games on my big screen anymore.
Okay.
I have a nice curved monitor right here where I'm looking at. I have my cameras right on top of it. But I use this now, and I might do what Angry Canadian does and just maybe stream a particular section. That's it. Not stream the whole game like I used to. Like the last couple of years, all I did, like if I played a video game, I would always stream it, see if I could, get some viewers, get some, grift some money, grift those views, because, YouTuber, what can I say? But I started playing, I was going to go into what I'm currently playing. And so been bullied into playing these games, but I'm actually enjoying them again. So I played Crisis Core for the first time, the remake on PS5. I beat it because Angry Canadian said we couldn't hang out if I didn't play it in Japan, so I had to. No, he was kidding.
You were able to survive the Gongaga scene that didn't kill you?
What Gongaga scene?
It's like, what? Or it's like, where are you from? Or what's your hometown? It's like, me? Gongaga.
Gongaga.
You know Gongaga? It's just like, who wrote this scenes?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'll be honest. I always thought Zach was more stoic. I always thought Zach was more stoic, but he's actually very cheerful more cheerful than I thought. But then again, in the original game, he was very talkative too. Like he was part of the. I think he was the reason why. Well, he was the reason why Cloud was able to recover and start talking again and get over his Mako poisoning and all that. But so yeah, I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake now. I'm on Chapter 7. I got to the Sector 5. I think it's 5. The Sector 5 reactor. Man, I forgot how much of a build up to that second reactor is compared to 7, where you go to the the initial Sector 7 reactor, escape, and then you're already onto the sector 5 reactor. But then Remake, they added chapters in between, so like you get some character development with Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. You go and you meet this other soldier guy, I forget his name. You have your little motorcycle battle in that part, and then you fight the soldier guy, and then there's like a whole nother level where you're on the rafters. You're so high above Midgar. You're so high above Midgar. Like I literally had the heebie-jeebies climbing down or looking down. Like you're walking the plank, and it's just like you're walking the plank and you could fall and all that. There was a point where you try to walk the plank to get to a materia, and then the plank collapses and you jump back. I actually I think I lost my stomach for like a few minutes. A few seconds. Like
it gives you vertigo.
Well, not vertigo, but like I how you feel when you fall,
like a motion sickness type of thing.
Well, I won't even go that far, but it just you felt like you felt like you were falling for like very brief.
Wow.
Like your stomach was like a little bit ahead of you,
That's cool.
Or behind you or something.
I say it's cool because it's a visceral thing from a game.
The visuals, and this is 2020. The visuals for Remake are so good. Like I forgot how good it looks. Like I just want to look at like I want to look at the horizons when you're climbing down into the reactor. It's breathtaking. It's so breathtaking, and I'm really enjoying. I am really enjoying this replay, and I want to hopefully get to Rebirth before I go to Japan in April. So, because I know AC is going to beat it, and I want to see if I can get that far. I don't play every day. Like I just can't get myself to play every day. It's either that or I watch YouTube. I think I watch too much YouTube, and I think one thing, everybody, social media. Don't get addicted to social media. It's especially YouTube or looking at X and looking at people's comments. That gets addicting after a while. So that's my issue. So
what a good move is?
What?
If you find that you do it a lot on your phone, I just remove troublesome apps from my home screens. So I don't uninstall them from my phone, but not having them there visually. And it's like a lot of people only check their apps now out of muscle memory. Oh, I've got like a moment between brushing my teeth and getting changed. Let me quickly see any notifications, click on this, click on that. And some people, not everyone, might benefit from just removing them from their screens so that you have to search for the app on your phone to be able to pull it up and access it.
Yeah.
So now, like, for example, I only ever go on X if let's just say like I'm at a doctor's office. There's literally nothing to do except me sitting on my phone, or I just do like people watching. So it's people watching or X, which is like virtual people watching.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I have the Kindle app, so I can actually I can get rid of the social media stuff, and I could actually start actually reading. I could actually start reading my Wheel of Time book right now. I'm on book 7, so YouTube, especially, like I will watch a video of something that interests me, and then I will read the comments, and the comments just like, because how like some of the bigger channels, like comments can go up to like the thousands. And and you get some really, I get some good insight into reading the comments, and like a lot of people, I watch a video and then people share their experiences and their insight into that when and their insight, and you kind of learn more and stuff. So it's because I like to watch like stuff about self-improvement, about relationships and all that, and it's very interesting. People type their stories, and one thing I like about my video content, especially the retrospective, that I mean, I designed it for nostalgia.
Mhm.
A lot of people, I really like it when people share their stories or they share something, and
Yeah.
well, a couple paragraphs long, like, oh, I was in this place, I was this age, and this just made me this video just kind of took me back to when I was doing this, and I used to play it like this.
Yeah.
And or they would reveal something that even I didn't know, or they would correct me. Like, you know how many younger people have been telling me, like, I pronouncing the names, especially in Ocarina of Time, wrong. Well, like
Oh,
Ocarina,
Laura, I
like
get
it's
it
actually
too. It's
Ocarina.
fine.
And I say Deku Tree, and I say Deku Tree, I say Gerudo,
I say Gerudo as well.
I say Shika. Well, when I was a kid, I pronounced it Shika. It's actually Shika or something.
Yeah.
So like all those terms in Zelda, like, because there was no guide to how to pronounce them. You just
Even if there is, they might get it wrong. I'm gonna die on that hill. Like, come on.
well, now you have the internet. Now you have the internet, so you can.
But all the internet does is make some sort of a consensus. It still could be wrong.
Yeah,
Like, you can even call it consensus because it's not a uniform opinion, but it's a majority opinion.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned being online and arguing with people is that you're never going to change minds. You're never going to change minds.
Actually, I'll
Okay.
tell you after this, but I'm gonna hold a thought for now. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, you're not gonna change minds. So sometimes I just get into an argument just to, like, hey, or like some people will like
get into the argument. Oh, no.
I will get into an argument with somebody if they're like causing trouble. Like, I'm the type of person that will stick up for friends, especially when they on X or on YouTube. My friend Prophet the Dragon, he does a channel reacting to the Wheel of Time TV show, which is a complete abomination. Do not watch it. Nerdy Neo.
Okay.
Why would you write this comment, Nerdy Neo? Like that is just like pure evil. It's like, imagine if they took the Lord of the Rings books and they completely changed it and added mediocre scenes instead of what was written in the book. That's basically what
imagine if they made Rings of Power. That's all you mean?
Or Rings of Power. Yeah. Well, Rings of Power is not based off of any books. Like, Wheel of Time has 14 books written by an author who wasn't able to finish them because he passed away. So they had another fantasy. His wife, who was also his editor, had another fantasy author finish the series. And so a lot of people were looking forward to this, and then you get this show that has nothing to do with the story that was written by the original author, and he's not here to defend it. So that's kind of why my friend has his YouTube channel, Salty Traveling. Sees another person right here who has covered that show. Like, they built their channels off of just trying to tell people, like, this is not how it's supposed to be. So,
cool.
But a lot of people like to come and argue and like pretend to act virtuous and say, we like the show because we're good people. We will give things a chance because we're good, and you guys are toxic. Just because you're negative about something doesn't mean you're toxic. You're just being real about it. I'd rather have something that be real. I'd rather have someone that would be real and be critical and negative versus someone who is fake and positive.
Yeah.
Because it's fake positive. I call it toxic positivity. So
I was just thinking that same term. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to not like stuff, and it's okay to, and I mean, things do not get better if you're not critical. So, like,
here's a tip.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, a tip for dealing with people and dealing with swaths of people who are very sensitive. It's fun to appropriate some of their terminology. Like, for example, you take toxic negativity and you turn it into toxic positivity. Just take a few of their terms and just appropriate them for your own usage.
Oh, yeah.
And aside from the fact that you're going to start changing the conversation in a better direction, because they become like more receptive to what you're saying, it also finally gets rid of just some of these terms that they've been trying to hammer in on you, and they're just nauseating when you read them sometimes.
Yeah. So what can I say? It's a very interesting time to live in, where everything is being adapted, and it's just video games. I mean, there's been a video game. There's been video game controversies lately with certain games, especially like, the new Assassin's Creed that my friend Dread Roberts was covering. and but I don't. I mean, and people are worried that video game is going to go down the same road that TV and movies are going down, where they're going to become mediocre, and the word that rhymes with woke. You know, I Nintendo. Now I know Nintendo of America probably would do it if they were in control. Luckily, they're not. Japan is in control of Nintendo's content, so I'm not really worried about Nintendo. I don't know how you could warp something like Mario or even Zelda. So, or even Metroid. Like if you were, I don't know how you could warp Metroid, but so I'm not really worried about. I'm not worried about Nintendo stuff. I'm not even video games. I think it's just so broad, and there's a lot. There's like, if you want a woke thing, you can get a woke thing. If you want something that doesn't have that, you can get that. So I think video games is too big for that compared to movies. Like I said earlier, video games is the biggest industry, entertainment wise. So I still think you can get a big bang, not a big bang. Okay, that's stupid. A good bang for your dollar, in terms of what people are interested in. So, but yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to Prime 4 when it comes out. But yeah, I was just going to ask you, what are you playing? So I playing Final Fantasy Remake. I want to get to Rebirth. Where are you currently playing? I know you were playing Dota 2. I've noticed you've been making Dota 2 videos that have been kicking butt lately. So yeah, man, congrats.
Thank you. You know, that's a funny one because I was addicted to that game for a long time, and I banked, let's just say 5,000 plus hours on Dota 2, just the whole world of Dota 2, playing it, obsessing over the pro scene and watching competitive, talking to my friends about it, theory crafting. And I tried to justify it like, well, it's kind of like the chess of video games. It's a cerebral game. If you want to make it that way, you don't have to. You could play like you're a mindless robot after a long day of work. But
so is it an RPG?
It's an RTS. It's an RTS with a lot of rules. And so one of the rules being it's always the same map. The units are always going to be automatically distributed like a horde style. Like my horde goes this way, your horde comes this way. They automatically battle each other, while us controlling special heroes can go wherever we want.
Okay.
So there's a lot of rigidity, but the variety and flexibility comes in the fact that there's over 100 heroes on the roster. There's a plethora of items that you can mix and match to strengthen your heroes. There's the teamwork element, which makes and breaks the game, because depending on the personality of your teammates, you're either going to love it or hate it. You can even love a match for like 40 minutes, and in the last 5, when people don't cooperate, you're like, well, that was a waste of the last hour.
Just because how many people can you play with?
4 others on your team, 5 on the other. So 5v5 matches.
And okay, all right. So you know how I know that Dota 2 exists? I know Dota 2 exists because I know Valve developed it.
Right.
And at the time, I played a little bit of. I played the first Half-Life.
Yep.
And this was when the Orange Box came out. So
yeah.
So I was really late to that. So I wanted to play the first Half-Life. So I played the first Half-Life PS2 version. Terrible version. But I managed to get through it and complete it. But I wanted to play because you know how I got into it? My buddy, same buddy who got me into Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil, I watched him play Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Okay.
And so I watched him beat it. Like I watched him beat it. It ended on a cliffhanger. To this day, they have not made. Well, actually, that's not true. They made Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah. VR.
But they never made part 3. They never made the conclusion to part 2 because part 2.
The joke is that Valve can't count to 3. Left 4 Dead 2, Dota 2, Half-Life 2.
So like we thought they were going to make Half-Life 3. We thought that was what happened, but that ended up not happening, and that was a decade ago now. So so that's why I know about Dota 2 is because I would keep checking on Valve to see what they were making. Yeah, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 as well. Yeah, yep, I remember that. Portal 1 and 2. Yeah, Portal 1. Yep. I like Portal.
And look,
Portal
even
was good.
Left 4 Dead, they can't count to 3, but they can still get to 4.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah,
allergic to
Left
the number
4
3.
Dead. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it's crazy. Um, but yeah, that's how I know about Dota. So,
Yeah.
all right, but does it play like StarCraft? I know you said it was
No, no,
Horde.
no. It's not like
Horde.
a traditional
I'm
army and base building RTS.
okay.
It's
Art. Yeah.
very individual. It's like, oh, StarCraft, though, perfect example. You know the hero missions? You're controlling Jim Raynor, or you're controlling Sarah Kerrigan or Zeratul, one unit taking on a bigger map. Those missions, your one unit that you control in Dota, plus your teammates playing theirs, like the map has your bounty on it. Like, go extract resources over here, go do everything over here, but only in the control of one unit. No base building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when it comes to RTS games, I am totally retarded in that area because I've never played RTSs. I was bullied years ago into playing Halo Wars with a coworker.
Oh, Halo Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that I think that was the only, and I played a little bit. Would Fire Emblem be considered RTS? The very first Fire Emblem?
No, because
No,
it's
it's
not in real time. It's turn based.
oh okay.
So
Okay, so
Dota's
it's an
constantly
RPG. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But you
Yeah.
can also view Dota as an action game, like how you control your character in Diablo, or a game like that, like an action RPG. Yeah. The thing though that I want to say about Dota, I guess I was just explaining it there, and the reason why I've really gone all in on doing this video series for Dota right now, I'm finally done. I think at 9 videos or so. I poured so much of my life into this game. It is one way for me to kind of give back to the game as well, for being mostly my friend for the last like 12 years or whatever. But also, I get a little more out of it. It's kind of like keeping a memoir as well, because otherwise, like, if I never did these videos, I am just one of tens of thousands of people who played the game for way too long, got to a high level, but never pro. And so you really have nothing to show for it except for your absurd number of playtime on your Steam profile. So for me, it was a very rewarding video series. And yeah, I got to give back to people. Like, I have too much knowledge in the game in my head after getting to that level and playing for so long. So I figured, let me organize it really well. I want every video to be done very well. So my guides are very high quality. And every now and then, I'll go back to that point I made about you can actually change people's minds in the comment section. Every now and then, someone will say that I'm wrong about this or wrong about that. What are your credentials? Why should we listen to you? And I've never let those kinds of comments go. I do like to challenge everybody, but I usually like think of an immediate response. It's a little harsh, a little abrasive. I let a couple hours pass by, and I typically rewrite it a little more kindly. And sometimes, just like, for example, a recent exchange, some guy he insulted my video. He accused me of not knowing what I'm talking about. And he said that the video idea is not helpful. So it's like, okay, you know what? You're really just berating me
You're
here
just
on
being
3
rude.
points that I disagree with.
Yeah.
And after a few hours, I rewrote the opening to my comment to him. And it was, I don't know if you basically, I don't know if you have your head up your butt or if you're just having a bad day, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Because, letting him know, his comment was completely a-hole-ish. And eventually he replied back to me and he admitted, okay, you know what? It was admittedly toxic. It didn't need to be written like that.
Yeah.
So I tried to just extend a bit of an olive branch. And some people will spit on you when you try to do that.
Yeah.
And I usually just insult them and then leave it alone.
Yeah, I've had so one particular few spats I've had with some of my videos, and this is something I kind of want, something I'm going to try and improve upon, because some of them are criticisms. Like they said, oh, your videos are not retrospectives, and I'm just like, yeah, they actually are retrospectives. They're just not the same. They're not the retrospectives you think they are. I mean, I kind of did my own thing. I didn't watch there's King K's channel. There's Liam Triforce. There's all these channels that have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
There's
And
a couple of those
they
that
get
I
million.
can't
They
stand
get
though, because it's just like they're pandering with fake emotion. I find you can write an emotionally sensitive script and you can intonate your voice in a way that's like, and this is perhaps one of the most touching moments, you know, takes you back to the time that you were a kid, and it really reminds you of all those good times that you're just longing for again. It's like, shut up, shut up.
It
You
comes
don't
off
talk like that. We're adults now.
it comes off as pretentious.
Man-child, pretentious, throw all
Yeah.
those pejoratives out there. Yeah, I can't take them personally, but I know that there's a huge audience for them.
Did my video suffer from that?
No, yours did not, because you were just telling your story as you experienced it, and you weren't trying to pander to other people's sentimentality.
Yeah.
That's what I can't stand.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's I think that was the thing. And like so like, oh, you just told the story, it was a walkthrough. That was one thing. I was like, well, yeah, I wanted to retell the story in my own words. There's a channel called Cygor Gaming that did something like that, and I kind of wanted to incorporate that into it too. So it wasn't just commentary from me, it was also me kind of retelling the story. And I showed how, and the thing was, for Ocarina of Time in particular, I showed how I played the game, how I approached the game. So I always approached the game. I always did, like, you know, I went to Lon Lon Ranch right after the Hyrule Castle stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to
Kakariko. Center of the field, go to Lon Lon Ranch. I did it too.
Yep, and I always and I would always race against time, especially when you first get out of into Hyrule.
Try to get to the gate in the first cycle.
You're trying to get to the gate before it closes on you, and of course the annoying owl, Kapora Gabora, and how many times I've accidentally hit. Do you want to hit yes? Do you want to hear this again? I'm like, no, I don't want to hear this. I like the little theme though. It's cute, but when you hear it for a long time, it gets annoying. And the funny joke about that is the owl just kept, for the first half of the game, the owl just kept appearing so many times. When you get into the Hyrule Castle area, he appears again. When you get to Kakariko Village, he appears right above the tree. When you're in the Lost Woods, he appears to you. He appears to you so many times. He's just like. But then at the end, when you're at the Shadow, when not the Shadow Colossus, that's a game, the Desert Colossus, when you're at the Spirit Temple and you're about to get the silver gauntlets, and he appears, he's like, I'm not going to come back. I'm going to be gone after this. I actually felt a little sentimental. Yeah. And that was the power of that game in particular. And I think I tried to convey how I felt when I was making the video, and everything.
Picture this for a fan theory. I just came up with this one. So, you know, Super Mario 64, the movable camera is not just you as a player being able to see different parts of the screen. It's the Lakitu holding the recorder, and he's going around, and he's like on Mario TV or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the lore of that game, having a camera that moves around in 3D space. So what if in Zelda Ocarina of Time, every time you get to a new area, there's the beautiful cinematography that takes you through a couple rooms of the temple, or
I had to show all that in the video.
What if that is from the perspective of Kapora Gabora?
I never thought of that. That's actually a really good. That's actually a very interesting idea.
He is always watching you.
He is.
And in this game, is he also the King of Hyrule?
No, he is Rauru the Sage.
Okay, he's the sage. Okay.
Yeah. So you remember when you first awaken, you see that this overweight sage looking dude,
who I always had a problem with because he didn't have a temple. Like he had the Temple of Time, presumably, maybe.
So now I was actually kind of delving into the iceberg, that dark portion of the internet. Like, was there originally?
I'm kind of with Neo, by the way. I still need evidence to believe that. But I'm kind of with Neo.
Yeah, well, I mean, was there originally going to be a Temple of Light, but they didn't have time, so they just gave you they just gave it to you right away, basically. Like, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that I was actually researching doing the video. So I showed like there was a lot of stuff that people unlocked, like a lot of there's like you could get the Triforce, like
Yes.
there was like, I can't even remember exactly what it was, but there was like a lot of, like you could access, like I remember in the magazines, like there was like this town. There was like this town that looked like just, just like just rows of houses. It didn't look anything like what the final
Okay.
game was. Like all the stuff that I noticed, like I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Well, we're kind of talking about like secrets that could be either hiding in plain sight or less than that, maybe.
Yeah, or players managed to unlock them. They found like the code or something. They were able to play like early versions of levels or something that was deep embedded in the code and all that. So
yeah,
so there were like temples and all that. I maybe that would be an interesting thing for a next if when we do another stream. I think we should do like an Ocarina of Time lore
yeah,
type of we'll just talk about that. I think that would be a good continuation for now. So yeah, it's already been an hour 40, so we went longer than I expected. So this was I don't know, like I like to have I try to have fun energy, like have positive energy with streams. So it hasn't really attracted people, but that's because there's everybody streams nowadays. Everybody and their brother or mother or whatever the saying is, everybody streams now. So some channels have their own dedicated followers, but hey, I enjoy having people on and having fun discussions talking about different things. Like I'll have someone I'll talk about movies with one guest. I'll talk about Star Trek with other people. I'll talk video games with you, and nobody cares what AC's doing. Love the AC. So Nerdy Neo, I gotta get Nerdy Neo back on too. I had him on a year ago. You want to come back on? Oh, look who's here.
Heard you.
Hey fellas, I'm gonna rewind the stream. So he was on with us last week. So everybody, if you haven't checked out me and Matt Cave and Angry Canadian, we talked about Zelda 2. Nice. And so it was a very fun stream, and they actually did a cartoon adaptation of Zelda 2, where they actually go into the main character helps Link and Zelda go into the first temple or the first palace, and they fight the boss from the first palace, and Ganon gets revived. So I saw that before I actually beat Zelda 2. I was so disappointed that Ganon does not get revived.
Yeah.
How many times I got game over and go,
Yeah, terrifying, by the way.
It was terrifying. I was a kid. I was really young. Yeah. It was terrifying. So you heard that, and then there was no music. There was no sound. You went back to the save or the save menu, and the save menu had no music. So the first two Zeldas, the save menus did not have
any background track,
music.
Okay.
So it wasn't until Link to the Past where you heard the the fairy thing, basically. So
did the first game have it though? Maybe even the second, from your first playthrough, because you're going from the title screen to the menu, so it doesn't carry over. It's just like silence.
When you press start after the title menu, it just goes silent. It's silent.
Well, can't even remember that.
You only hear the only sound you hear is when you press select. So in the original game, the select sound was the rupee, basically. In Zelda 2, the select sound was, I don't know what the heck that sound was. It sounded weird, but it wasn't. Zelda 2
has the most unique sounds. And some of them need to come back in some way. And this is why I also like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, because they pulled sounds from all the other games too.
Did they?
I love the it's the sword. I think it's Link firing a full HP sword, and it's like almost like a boing type of sound, but for his metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like.
Oh, okay. Now, do they use the sword when in the original Zelda, when you were when you had full health, you shot the sword beams? Did they use the same sound effect?
I don't know if that one ever came back anywhere. Ones that I were noticing were like I think some file select type of sounds or some rupee. So now I feel like I need to replay it. Well, when I did my Zelda video, they were all fresh in my mind, but I was hearing Twilight Princess. I was hearing a little bit of Wind Waker.
By
Oh,
the way,
that's
nice. By
that's
the
one of
way, nice hoodie. By the way, it took me a while to realize that was Link's Wind
yeah,
Waker
of
shirt.
course. Had to wear a little bit of merch.
Yeah, I like. There's a lot. What's funny is a lot of people I never suspect. Like I follow some booktubers. I follow other channels. Like they're like some of them are wearing freaking like Triforce, like Zelda Triforce,
Yeah,
or the Hyrule Triforce. Not quite the Triforce, but
the
the
emblem with the sword or
the
shield
emblem
or
with the
something.
sword and all that. Yeah. So like I'm surprised, like how like Zelda fans, Nintendo fans, we're getting older.
There's
We're
some
aging.
high-profile people who even represent it. I don't know if Henry Cavill's ever done it. He's probably like the highest-profile celebrity to be a gamer, though. But Clayton Morris of like formerly of Fox News and Redacted news channel. He also has a gaming channel, and he's always wearing his Zelda hoodie when he goes out to conventions and stuff.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And it's like,
I
wait,
I'll
don't
to,
you do
I'll to,
political coverage? No, he's a huge gamer too. Yeah.
I don't think I know him. I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out. Interesting. But yeah, it
And right now, I can't think of anyone between Henry and Clayton, but I mean, there's tons of celebrities who have said, "Oh, I played this. I grew up with that."
Speaking of Henry Cavill, I know Henry Cavill's a big fan of like Warhammer 40K. I
Yeah.
got my friend Dread Roberts bullied me into buying the new Warhammer game.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about Warhammer, but
Me neither.
I bought that game, and dude, that game is crazy. Like there's hordes of enemies just trying to get to you, and
Yeah.
I'm like surprised at how many like enemy NPCs there are in the memory. It's the memory is insane. Basically, like
Nice.
I've never seen anything like that in any game before. So I was freaking the heck out. I was playing with him. We were playing like co-op or something,
Yeah.
and I was freaking. It's called Warhammer. It's called what the heck is it called?
Yeah.
Um,
Type in Warhammer 2024 video game. It should be that one.
Warhammer Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2. That's what it's called. Space Marine 2. So I'm like, do I have to play Space Marine 1? No. No, you don't have to. Do I need to know the lore? Because there's like I watched a video about Warhammer lore, and there's like billions of videos and like hours and hours. Then
Yeah.
Warcraft, World of Warcraft, and Warhammer has so much lore. Like I'm like
I
I don't
think
know where to
World of
start.
Warcraft, having dipped my feet in it for a couple expansions, is way easier to manage and handle than Warhammer. Warhammer, like, and I don't even know how you would reconcile that with the tabletop too.
I
I can
don't
only
know.
imagine.
Yeah, my friend Prophet, who like I brought him up before, who likes to talk Wheel of Time. He's been buying and painting, the
Yep.
Warhammer figurines. He plays with his older son, and everything. So yeah, like maybe one of these days I might get into it. I know Warhammer has
Oh,
this like so
famous
such
last
an
words.
such a dedicated fan base. I know like I know they're making a show, and I think not Mark Hamill, Henry Cavill. Mark
Yeah.
Hamill, I mentioned Mark Hamill. Henry Cavill is, I think, producing it or something like that. But with the way video game adaptations and entertainment and adaptations in general have been, I am not the most
Hopeful.
hopeful, optimistic. So
That's fine. You know what? Let's just keep our expectations low. And if anything pleasantly surprises us, all the better.
yeah, so like Halo, everybody hated Halo. Fallout was something that everybody didn't think was going to be good, but people actually ended up liking at the end. I don't know if you've seen the Fallout show at all on Amazon.
Honestly, I'm not interested in anything. I was actually thinking of this earlier as maybe a potential topic when you were talking about the adaptations of Wheel of Time, because I'm not somebody who needs to pay attention to every iteration of my favorite series. So even if there is a Zelda movie, and Zelda is my favorite media franchise of all time, I don't need to watch it. I like the games. I'm
Yeah.
a Zelda gamer. I'm not a Zelda watcher or a Zelda amiibo buyer or anything like that.
Will you see the live action Zelda when it comes out though?
No.
Oh
And
no.
I also can't stand live action, so absolutely not. Like,
Oh
so for you, for example, you're somebody who explores all the different media varieties for your favorite series. But do you feel like you have to do that to keep up with where the series is going? Or do you do that just as a fan who will embrace everything that it has to offer?
I do it out of curiosity, and if I like it, I will probably, follow it further. If I don't, then I will probably not, and
And
I'll probably, like stick to a particular medium, like you said.
yeah, and I also have what I think is a healthy approach to, if I explore a little bit more and then I get disappointed, it's really easy for me to just headcanon it and go, this isn't by the original writer, this isn't by the original developer.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, the series more or less ends right here. And at this point, it forks off into different people's creations. Like, some
that's
people live and die by all the material that they're given, like Star Wars fans. It's like, you don't have to accept other movies if you don't want to. They're not written by the
I
same
haven't.
people. Who cares?
So my favorite TV franchise of all time is Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah.
And they've been making Star Trek since 2017. It's all bad. It's everything that I liked about Star Trek that was made in the, even in the original 60s one with with Shatner and Nimoy,
Yep.
then years later with Next Generation, then you had the movies in the 80s with the original cast, and then you had a whole bunch of shows in the 90s. But once that ended, once that era ended, that's kind of where I stopped with Star Trek, because after that it got to the point where it got mediocre in its storytelling and its characters, and it wanted to be other franchises and not Star Trek. Like, I would rather have them rip off of earlier episodes of Star Trek than rip off like Star Wars. Like
Right.
when J.J. Abrams directed the first couple, those Star Trek movies, he made them more like Star Wars, basically, just high action thriller, with just with actiony Star Wars elements. Like the first 2009 movie was basically a super weapon destroying a planet. Where have we heard that before?
Yeah.
Star Wars. Star Wars is a great movie. The original Star Wars trilogy is great. Well, I like the prequels too, but that's just me. But yeah, like you said, I unless there's something that really interests me, and I actually got into a little debate with someone online about this. So some people are like, if you're excited about something, go see it for yourself. Go see it for yourself. Now, my counter to that is, sure, on the surface that sounds good, but the way I am now, like I said, I'm not optimistic about new stuff anymore like I used to be, because of just how the quality has dipped quite a bit because of who's making who's writing stuff now.
That's not just something you're saying out of nowhere. That's something that's been proven time and time again.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
So when I hear someone that I trust, who's real, someone that I trust online, says that they liked it, I will give it a shot. I will check it out. So, like, for instance, the third season of Star Trek Picard was given a lot of praise because it was better than all the other new Trek shows. I call the current version of Star Trek New Trek because it doesn't even deserve the title of Star Trek, in my opinion. But the third season of Picard was given a lot of praise by a lot of people I trust. I saw it and I don't agree, but it was still better. It was still better. I'll give them that. And there was actually a few good points, but I ever since being a YouTuber, I've gotten more critical. I've started looking at watching things with a critical eye more so.
Yep.
But that's just me. But I did enjoy the experience watching it with people and talking about it and everything. But yeah, that's just how it is now. So, but yeah, that's me. That's Chillporeal. I cover multiple mediums. So,
as everything has gotten bigger, as media have spawned franchise, and it just seems like a popular thing can grow exponentially, an individual writer becomes a team of writers by the time it's like the third movie or even the second movie, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I think I noticed with Xenoblade, going back to the beginning of the conversation, I can't remember if this is the exact game, but it'll work for the example. I felt a distinct disconnect between the writing of the first half of the game and the writing of the second half of the game. And it felt, and I remember commenting to somebody, hey, I think they have like different writers on the two ends of the game here. I feel like we have transitioned mid-project to another staff of writers or something here. It's discernible in the way the characters are talking and acting, and like they've missed any kinds of fleshing out that ought to have transitioned them to this point. So anyways, all of that is just to say, even with TV series, how a TV episode, one to the next, they could change the director. It seems like they just hand out directing gigs to people to try it, right?
Yeah.
You could have teams of writers instead of one person. How do you determine whether like the person with the most lore focused approach is going to be the head writer? You can't determine that. So I don't know. The whole point is that I don't get caught up in lore and continuation anymore. It's just not worth the anguish when it doesn't go the way that you want. And
Yeah.
like I said, some people can say that I'm just headcanoning everything. It's like, you can't just say that that doesn't exist or that that's not how the story went. It's like, hey, I'm not the one who's whining in agony because they killed off my favorite character or something. That's you. To me, he's still alive from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to this day, like Han Solo was still alive. Han Solo's still alive. He didn't get murdered by he didn't survive the original trilogy just to get murdered by his son, years later. So, but yeah.
Wow,
but
and a
yeah.
character murdered by their son in the Star Wars franchise. I swear I've seen that before.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. So, but yeah, man. So you got, I figured that, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. I figure we concluded here. So, Justin, thanks for doing this. This was a great conversation. I do want to we definitely have to do a part 3 because everything has to be a trilogy now.
Yes.
And beyond that, like MCU. So, phase 3, phase 1 billion, who knows? So Justin, I got to tell you, I am not your father's brother's cousin's nephew's former roommate. But is there anything that you feel we could kind of carry into the next stream?
Ooh, carrying into the next thing. You mentioned a little bit of lore. I like if we can throw out your opinion versus my opinion, and it doesn't have to be on a story or a character, but I like where we can go talking about directions of things, maybe a little bit of how things are made / written in media.
Okay.
I'm being really vague here, obviously, but I feel like if we take an approach to
what medium, like
the creations of
gaming medium, or
I also love analyzing like tons of components of TV and movies. I like looking at the directing, the shots, did they do sound and music well? How are audio levels? Dude, it's a problem that like with Netflix, people have ruined how to balance dialogue and music and sound effects. Yeah. Dialogue is always drowned out. Who decided that should be the standard? So if you want to ever talk about like dissecting things and analyzing things, that's right up my alley.
Oh, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love me then, because I've done movie reviews with people, having conversations like that. Games, obviously.
Yeah.
I've done book clubs. Breaking stuff down. This channel would be perfect for that type of thing. So yeah,
we can find some series or game or movie or TV, whatever that we have in common, and we could just either rip into it.
The perfect movie. If we gotta do this, perfect movie for us. The greatest movie ever, 1993 Super Mario Brothers live action.
Okay, I'll download.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Do you like? I'll throw a handful of like some movies that I really like, and we don't have to focus on these for even more than 5 minutes. But love The Truman Show.
I have not. I remember the commercials. I remember the trailers for The Truman Show. I've seen a clip of The Truman Show where he's like, "What are you talking about? What's going on here?" I actually have not seen the movie.
I would go into it completely blind. That's how I watched it a few years ago.
Yeah,
and it was honestly one of the best movies and a favorite.
I've heard. So I still have not watched it. So that's actually a movie on my list I gotta see. So
do you want to give me a movie that I should watch? I'll throw Truman Show at you.
A movie that you should watch.
This will be our homework, and we have like the next year to do it.
Oh,
Neo, I love The Matrix too. I think it's a really well done movie. And
the original is okay. I gotta ask you this: is there one Matrix movie, or is there three? Because you know how people online feel about.
Well, I feel like
everybody hates the fourth one.
I didn't even bother watching. I do feel like they get objectively worse as you go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So like 1 is my favorite, and the story continues throughout 2 and 3. They're just not as well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I like the Matrix trilogy. I was disappointed with Revolutions. No, Revolution.
Second Revolution's the second, I think.
The third one. Second one.
Oh, that's okay.
Reloaded, I actually really enjoyed.
Oh, Reloaded is the title. Oh, they both have R titles. Okay.
Yeah, Reloaded had maybe I like
Reloaded had the albino twins fighting on the highway. That's like all I remember.
Then they had at the end they had the architect, and that kind of explained the whole Matrix, like the one is actually the one that resets everything, and so he doesn't do it this time. So yeah, I'll have to think of I'll have to think of a movie. I have like classics. I have stuff from like Japan that I watch. I've watched like Lone Wolf and Cub is one that I've this is probably the most recent movie I've watched. That's one about a father and a son. The father was an executioner in Edo era Japan, and he's basically he's an assassin. Him and his son walk the path of hell, as the translation goes, and so he's moving his son in a carriage, in a stroller, but this wooden stroller is full of booby traps. Like there's weapons like hidden throughout the entire thing. Like there's like a blade that literally cuts a dude's legs off. It just like springs out like this and everything. Wow. It's crazy. But like, let's just say the Mandalorian kind of stole from that quite a bit. So like the Mandalorian's basically the father, and the Baby Yoda is basically the child. And then they completely, I don't know if you've seen Book of Boba Fett, where it's Luke Skywalker CGI Luke Skywalker and Baby Yoda, and he makes them choose between the helmet and the lightsaber. It was there was an equivalent scene in Lone Wolf and Cub where the father tells his son as a toddler, he's like, you either choose the sword or you choose the ball. If you choose the ball, I will send you to your mother in the afterlife. In other words, he would kill his son, and he would walk the assassin path alone, but his son chose the sword. So so but that might be a movie to check out. And been meaning to watch more Clint Eastwood movies. I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan, so I don't know if you've ever seen Dirty Harry or even The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I've never been too attracted to those types of movies.
Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome.
If you think there's like one of them that absolutely stands above, like if it is Dirty Harry or something, I'll try to throw that up.
You know why they call me Dirty Harry? Because I have dirty because I'm stuck with the short end of the shit end of the stick. I talk like this, like that, so but yes, stuff we could cover stuff like that. I'll or maybe some video game related stuff too. So like maybe some of maybe Ocarina of Time lore or some Zelda lore or something. I got the books right here. I got the story, I got the art book, and I got the encyclopedia. So we could do stuff like that. So what's going on in your channel? I know you've been putting up videos. Have you done any streams yourself? I know you did a stream a while ago.
That was I just did a stream.
I'm waiting for my invite, by the way. So
I don't know if I'm going to be doing well. I would like to get back to interviews at some point, but I feel like I've got a lot of promises made just to whoever was listening to these random behind the scenes videos I was making, and just saying that I would do these things has basically determined my video release schedule for like the next year as well. So I'm doing seasonal recommendations, and someone thought that I was doing, like, for example, Winter Games 2025. Somebody thought that I was like recommending what games they should buy that time of year, what's going to be on sale or something. And then they click on the video and it's me just saying these games are well suited to the winter season. They embody the season when you play them. And they were disappointed by that, but it's like, that's what I enjoy doing. I don't know. It's a little project. So I have one more year of doing each season. And I'm going to be eventually playing through the rest of the Super Mario games to do my Super Mario mainline ranked. Really, it's just I have ideas of things that I want to do, and I'm mostly staying on track too.
All the the 2D Marios, the 3D Marios.
Yeah, basically the only ones that I'm not going to cover in that I think are Super Mario Land.
Okay,
but other than that, it's SMB1 up through Wonder. So it's going to be
really?
Like
so you're
10 games.
What about Yoshi's Island?
No. Having played it is too different.
Yeah, that I'll be honest, that was disappointing. I'm 11-year-old me. You know how Yoshi's Island was promoted.
But it is called Super Mario World 2, though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why does Mario look like this? Where's his mustache? And then, well, the rest is history.
Yeah.
The rest is history. So, the game is good though. No, Yoshi's Island is a solid game.
Yeah. That's actually spoiler in my spring recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is even at 11 years old, I thought I was too old to play that game because it was drawn in crayon.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was for babies. And then Yoshi's story took that to another.
Yoshi's story took it a little too far.
Took it a little too far. I was like, this is for babies. So I don't know. But then again, what can I say?
Yeah.
That was 97. So all those babies are like in their late 20s now. So I feel old. I feel old now. What can I say? So, but what about like the RPGs, like Mario RPG or?
No,
you gotta include Mario RPG. You gotta.
I don't think it fits in though in a mainline ranking. Well, look, I'm
gonna. Well, you're right. I mean, I'm speaking from nostalgia because when I was a kid, I always thought Mario RPG was a sequel to Super Mario World because Koopa had the clown car, and they always they like the game references Mario World with the when you encounter Geno, or you encounter the kid that owns the Geno doll, and he's playing Mario Saves the Princess with his dolls and all that, and they play the Mario World, they play the Super Mario World theme as part of that. So I don't know. I always thought it was a sequel, but no, I think you're correct because it was not made by Nintendo. It was made by Square Enix, or not Square Enix, Squaresoft, 1996.
Okay,
Squaresoft. So yeah, so so it'd be Mario World, then 64, and then Sunshine, then Galaxy 1, 2.
Unfortunately,
3D Land.
Yeah, that one I throw in. Unfortunately, I have to cover like 3 handheld. I've played them all already. But the 3 handheld games, and they kind of blur together in too many ways. And also the Wii and the Wii U Super Mario games also really blend together, I think.
What, 3D World?
Oh, hold on. That's the same game, I think. See, this is where it's like, even if I play those titles, I've played everything except for Wonder, and I haven't beaten 2. So I'm actually going
You haven't beaten Mario 2?
And I own it. Yeah, I've owned it since I was a kid, but I've never beaten it.
I'll show you something I got. I showed this to AC really quickly. I have it on my wall right here.
Yep. Oh. Is that a canvas? Oh, you can't hear me yet.
So I saw this at a convention, and I was like, Mario 2 gets very little love because if you played Mario Super Mario Maker,
yes,
I was hoping that they would have a Mario 2. You could make a Mario 2 levels.
And they kind of do in Maker 2, but it's like an Easter egg. If I remember it, I can explain it better. But for now, go on because I have to think.
So I saw this at the Comic-Con Expo here in Chicago, and I'm like, I have to have this. Like, I don't like to buy stuff like this generally, but Mario 2 gets so little love. And I just thought this was a good, perfect representation of the game. Because I grew up. Mario 2 was the second Mario game I ever played. I played the Mario games in order. I mean, I played them. All three games I played like within like the first month of me owning the Nintendo.
Yeah. No, that is straight out of the game with the platforms, having all 4 playable characters, Birdo, the wall thing, whatever that's called, with the mouth and the beak. Terrifying. Like,
it was terrifying.
So
at the end of the game, you have to fight one of those.
It was dreadful as a kid.
Yeah, and then you remember, I don't know if you remember at the end of the game, right before you get to the final boss, Wart, the frog that blows the bubbles at you, and you have to throw the vegetable in his mouth. You have to fight one of these things. The one that you eat the egg or whatever that is that's in front, and then the head comes off and starts attacking you. You have to throw like a mushroom block at it in order to beat it, basically. And I remember when I was a kid, it was terrifying. So
the worst part for me, because I never got that far, was when you would start going, I think, into the vases or the vases, however you guys pronounce it in the States, and you had to dig your way down through the sand. And some of those levels had the masks that would come off the wall and start chasing you.
Oh yeah,
I hated those masks.
Oh yeah, the Phantos. Yeah, the Phantos. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Holy, like, come on, man! I was like 3, 4, and 5 years old. I did not need to see that.
Did you ever play Mario All-Stars version of the NES games?
Briefly, but yeah.
I'll be honest, like, so this 93, same time the movie came out, the live action movie. As an 8-year-old, I was blown away by like the difference. Like, I was so blown away by the additional artwork and the additional backgrounds, and the updated music and all that. Well, I think the updated music is okay. I think the original music's still better, in my opinion. But I was just blown away. I thought when I first played All Stars, I thought it was just the original games in the original forms. So it was a pleasant surprise to see, like, especially the first Mario, and you get to play Lost Levels for the first time, or Mario, the Japanese Mario 2.
Yep.
I wasn't even aware that there was a Japanese Mario 2 until there was like a little snippet in my Mario. I actually owned a Mario Mania magazine that was basically a cheat for Super Mario World. And there was a little section on a page that said that there was a Mario 2 that came out only in Japan. And my parents were telling me about this. I was like, and I was begging, like, can we get it? Can we get it? Like, no, we're not in Japan. So I was a dumb kid. I was 7. I was dumb. I was a dumb 7-year-old. Done. But I was so that's just the stuff was, the stuff is, there's just so much history with me and Mario and Nintendo in general. So, and I just love, part of the reason why I made those videos was just to kind of see if I can, bring some of it to life, kind of create like a time capsule, kind of create like a memory bubble or something, or not a bubble, memory.
No, but a little bit
memory mushroom for Mario. I don't know.
One of the same reasons, not the main reason for me, but I did think about it when I made that Dota series. It's like, I've spent so much time with this game. This is a nice little memento. I can look back at this and see kind of the culmination of my hours in this little video series.
Yeah. The Ocarina of Time thing was basically me trying to make a Lord of the Rings trilogy with Ocarina. The reason why I split into 3 parts was because the video was 5 hours and I wrote 40 pages of stuff, of dialogue. But I wanted to make it like one of the early epics from the 60s, so like with intermissions and all that. Mm-hmm. And I found like these Japanese orchestral releases of, like, from the 90s or the 2000s of the Ocarina the Ocarina themes and all that. And I just that and promoting other people's artwork, from, I forget what the website is that has, like, people just like making artwork. There's a lot of great artwork out there of games, like all the temples. There's this one guy that has like recreated all the temples with his artwork. It's just amazing.
Love that.
And so I show that, and I play the music that kind of coincides with that. So, but yeah, so yeah, there was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of love and emotion that went into that video. So, and after that, I was just like, I don't know if I could repeat this again. So, and then comments I get like, do Majora's Mask next, do Wind Waker next. So I'm
so
still
you guys don't
confused.
understand where this came from. I can't just force it out.
Yeah, Majora's Mask I might be a little bit more negative about, because there's things I didn't like about the game. I know we talked a little bit about Majora's Mask on the last thing. I was never a fan of the time thing, so I only played that game a couple of times.
I'd recommend you skip that episode then. And you know what? I'm just thinking of what some comedians have said. I don't know if you know of Norm Macdonald. He was a Canadian comedian, but he got big on SNL and in the States, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he was Burt Reynolds on
yes, he
Celebrity
was.
Jeopardy.
And this has stuck with me. He says the best impersonations are done by people who like who they're impersonating. So he was against a lot of the recent SNL skits where they were mostly ridiculing people.
Yes.
And he said you could tell it just wasn't good because it just came from a place of like disrespect and hate instead of respect and admiration.
And people can read that, and people can see that right away.
And so I think, if you're doing something creative, the same thing kind of applies here. If your heart's not into Majora's Mask, you're not going to come anywhere close to what you did with the Ocarina of Time video. Yeah.
I do. I might still want to do Majora's Mask, because I did like the game for the most part. I mean, there's just certain things I didn't like quite a bit about it. So you know what I really depended on the really slow slowing down time.
You have to. Yeah.
Because like I don't want to. I don't want my exploration in the dungeon to be interrupted. But that's just me. So what can I say? But that I don't know if that's an interesting take, but I don't know. I'll do it in a way that doesn't, like I said, I still like I like Majora's Mask. It's actually a really good game. That third dungeon with that fish boss is, oh my gosh, it's so bad. I mean, so hard. I mean, so what can I say?
Georg.
Oh yeah, that's right, Georg. Yeah, name that's like a Russian name or something. Georgi.
Sure.
So what can I say? But yeah, so for me, yeah, I'm still I'm gonna be on my friend's Prophet of the Dragons channel covering the Wheel of Time new season comes out next week. So there's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun watching it and seeing how much they screw it up.
Good luck.
So it's gonna be, yeah, I'm going into it for all the wrong. I'm excited for all the wrong reasons. But it's gonna be fun watching it with people and talking about it and dunking on it, and hopefully it get canceled, and then we'll celebrate and all that. So, but that's that, and I have not scheduled any Chillporeals yet. Me and AC, Angry Canadian, we do, because of the fact that he's bullied me into playing more Final Fantasy VII. We're going to eventually do an Advent Children / Crisis Core stream, because he wants to do it and everything. So, and I haven't watched. I have never seen the full Blu-ray full version of Advent Children. I've only seen the theatrical version when it was released here in the States. So, yeah. So that'll eventually happen in the future. I do want to do more movie stuff eventually, and yeah, I just have to invite people. I have to be active and invite people and say, hey, you want to do this? A lot of times it'll either be people will either ghost me or they'll say yes. And so always, if you want to do a stream and you're afraid to talk to somebody, well, don't be afraid. Just say, hey, you want to do this? That's it. And the rest is history. And then it's fun. Like when I don't think if I didn't ask Justin here, I don't think we would have ever done anything like that. So yeah. So yeah, blame AC. We can blame AC for that. So
no blame, no need to blame.
So, but yeah, man, Justin, thanks for doing this. It was a lot of fun. Hope everything's well in the 51st state of Eden. I'm kidding. So
that's the one comment that I don't like. Call my prime minister governor all you want, but I'm Canadian till I die.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah. So everybody, Definitely check out Legend of Leo. Follow him on X. Follow my account, Chillporeal Life, on X. And if you're new here, once again, subscribe, hit the like, and leave a comment. Tell us why Justin's awesome and why I need to be a better host and all that stuff.
Come on, Brian. Don't sell yourself short. Thanks, man. Thanks for
having
me.
Hey, I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to be humble. So, all right.
You have to try. I don't think you're being humble.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. Stay Chillporeal. And how's this going to end? Let's see.